At it again, and it appears that Kamala did another interview, and surprise, surprise, it was not live. It was taped, and we got to see the aftermath. But I want to play this clip really quickly of what the interviewer had to say after the fact. Check it out.
Talk about that answer. I do, but here's what's a little tricky. She doesn't answer the question around if the GOP is controlling the Senate, if she can't raise corporate taxes, where is she going to get the money from, to expand the child tax credit and do all the things she wants to do. And she says, we just have to do it. And that's great, and that's a campaign promise. But the issue is, if it means we're just going to borrow again, then what we're doing is we're just never addressing the deficit. And back in the days when you were a proud Republican, debts and deficits mattered.
Are you surprised that she didn't answer any questions? Well, when I was getting ready to put this video together, I saw that Jesse Waters had put together their shebang, and it is well put together. So I'm going to do a reaction to that, and because it is absolutely amazing. He hits on every single point, so without further ado, let's dive in.
It took over 2 months for Kamala Harris to finally sit down for her first solo interview on a major news network. And she decided to do the interview with this lady.
I just said I'm not going to vote for her. Kamala Harris is not running for perfect. She's running against Trump. We have two choices. And so there are some things you might not know her answer to. And in 2024, unlike 2016 for a lot of the American people, we know exactly what Trump will do, who he is, and the kind of threat he is to democracy.
I think the problem that a lot of people have with Kamala is we don't know her answer to anything, okay?
But you know his answer to everything.
Kamala heard that and said, what are you doing Wednesday? Stephanie Ruhle is a business analyst on NBC. She's a Trump hater. And the interview focused on the economy, something Kamala can't talk about because if she said what her plan was, she'd lose in a landslide.
For those who say these policies aren't for me, what do you say to them?
Well, if you are hardworking, if you have the dreams and the ambitions and the aspirations of what I believe you do, you're in my plan. I have to tell you, I really love and am so energized by what I know to be the spirit and character of the American people. We have ambition, we have aspirations, we have dreams. We can see what's possible. We have an incredible work ethic. But not everyone has the access to the opportunities that allow them to achieve those things. My vision for the economy, I call it an opportunity economy, is about making sure that all Americans, wherever they start, wherever they are, have the ability to actually achieve those dreams and those ambitions. I come from the middle class. Look, my mother raised my sister and me. She worked hard. She saved up. By the time I was a teenager, she was able to buy our first home. And home ownership for too many people in our country now is elusive. Gone is the day of everyone thinking they could actually live the American dream.
Kamala was just asked about her policies. She rambled and then said the American dream is gone. She's been in power for 4 years and said the American dream's gone. She just sank her campaign. But that was just the beginning.
Facts.
How do you go after price gouging without implementing price controls? Because once we get in this zone, people start to get worried and they say, I don't know what she stands for.
So, just to be very frank, I am never going to apologize for going after companies and corporations that take advantage of the desperation of the American people. Yeah, I'm going to go after them. Yes, I'm going to go after them.
So price controls are still on the table. That's not going to fly in this country. What about trade policy?
Tariffs aren't unique to President Trump. President Biden has tariffs in place. He's actually looking to potentially implement more. Where do you come out on? Is there a good tariff, a bad tariff?
Well, part of it is you don't just throw around the idea of just tariffs across the board, and that's part of the problem with Donald Trump. Frankly, I'm going to, and I say this in all sincerity, he's just not very serious about how he thinks about some of these issues. And one must be serious and have a plan, and a real plan that's not just about some talking point ending in an exclamation at a political rally, but actually putting the thought into what will be the return on the investment, what will be the economic impact on everyday people.
Yeah, she really just said that. can't make this stuff up, man. You really can't. I mean, how terrible. She talked about being serious when all she talks about, she tried to go at Trump for not being serious when all she talks about is that she knew somebody that owned a small business, and she loves small businesses, but she's never owned a small business. And when she's asked directly how she's going to solve these problems, she just rambles on about a bunch of nothing. A bunch of nothing. But Trump's not serious? Interesting.
They just asked her what her trade plan was. She never answered and then said Trump doesn't have one. And then never explained what her plan was. Trump's not serious about trade. He's deadly serious. He won a trade war with China, passed the new NAFTA deal, signed new trade deals with South Korea and Japan. He used tariffs to bring countries to the negotiating table. And we had a great economy with no inflation. I don't know if Kamala Harris knows this, but the Biden-Harris administration kept Trump's tariffs on China, then increased them. Kamala was then asked how she's going to help Americans buy homes they can't afford since inflation drove mortgage rates so high.
Some of the work is going to be through what we do in terms of giving benefits and assistance to state and local governments around transit dollars and looking holistically at the connection between that and housing and looking holistically at the incentives we in the federal government can create for local and state governments to actually engage in planning in a holistic manner that includes prioritizing affordable housing.
I have no idea what she just said. I have no idea. But it sounds like she's going to print more money and give it away. Then Kamala was asked, how's she going to pay for all of these handouts?
Giving that extra money for a first home. If you can't raise corporate taxes or if GOP takes control of the Senate, where do you get the money to do that? Do you still go forward with those plans and borrow?
Well, but we're going to have to raise corporate taxes, and we're going to have to make sure that the biggest corporations and billionaires pay their fair share. That's just it. It's about paying their fair share.
But how do you find that line to make sure corporations are paying their fair share, but they're not leaving our country?
Well, listen, I work with a lot of CEOs. I have spent a lot of time with CEOs, and I'm going to tell you that the business leaders who are actually part of the engine of America's economy agree that people should pay their fair share.
Again, she didn't answer the question. Even if she raises taxes on everybody, it still won't pay for the trillions she wants to spend. Obama already raised taxes, and the middle class got hammered. Obama raised taxes, and corporations left the country and took their factories with them. That's how Trump got elected. How is she going to stop companies from leaving? Because she knows a bunch of CEOs? Their lobbyists are just going to write loopholes in the bill that she signs. After the interview, Stephanie Ruhle called Harris a dodger.
Here's what's a little tricky. She doesn't answer the question around if the GOP is controlling the Senate, if she can't raise corporate taxes, where is she going to get the money from?
And the interview was just as staged as all of her answers. There's a sander with no sawdust in the back and a ladder in the middle of nowhere. What's that doing there? No idea.
You know, when MSNBC is calling you out after they just did a sit-down interview with you, you did pretty horribly. You absolutely bombed a scripted, non-live interview. You bombed it again. Like this can't be real. Like we all gotta like be dreaming at this point. There's no way this is real. She's bombing interview after interview after interview, and they are scripted. They're not even live. You know, Trump said the other day that he thinks that cognitively, Kamala is just as bad as Biden. And I don't think he's lying. She might be worse. This can't be real. How do you keep bombing scripted interviews? Like, I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. I didn't say this, but when I heard that she was gonna do an interview with MSNBC, and I heard that she was doing the interview with this woman right here, which that woman basically said that Kamala didn't have to answer any questions before, I believe on the Bill Maher show, I was a little worried. right? I was a little worried that they were gonna, it was gonna be like a major fluff piece, 6 weeks out from the election, and she was gonna get the boost that she needs, right? I was a little worried. And now I'm smacking myself in the forehead like, Rich, why were you worried? She can't even nail a fluff piece interview with an interviewer that literally went on national television and said Kamala doesn't need to answer any questions. With MSNBC of all networks. How do you bomb that? I just didn't think this kind of stuff was possible. This is insanity.
Today, Trump in North Carolina is zeroing in on American working men and women. He's been much more disciplined the last week and a half, more upbeat and more focused on the future.
The centerpiece of my plan for a manufacturing renaissance will be a 15% made in America tax rate. I'm imposing tariffs on your competition from foreign countries that have ripped us off, which stole all of your businesses and all of your jobs years ago and took your businesses out, so that now they won't be able to compete with North Carolina. All of your furniture makers are going to come back bigger and stronger and better than ever before. This is why people in countries want to kill me. They're not happy with me. It's a risky business.
That's the kind of swagger and attitude from 2016, remember? Fight for the little guy, America First trade policy that puts money in your pocket and doesn't give foreigners a free ride. The Europeans have a 25% tariff on American whiskey. They have a 10% tariff on American cars. Meanwhile, America lets all the European wine and cars come in here duty-free, while our Navy protects their shipping and our nukes protect their safety. The Europeans don't spend any money on their militaries, so they spend it on lavish social safety nets because we pay to protect them. Your tax dollars. We had this arrangement after World War II because their economies were devastated, so we opened up our market to help them recover, and in exchange created this network of alliances against Soviet communism. But the Cold War is over, and this isn't fair to the American taxpayer or the American worker.
To the workers of this state, when you hear Kamala Harris attack my tariffs today, you wouldn't have anything left in this state if I didn't do what I did. This building would be now shuttered, closed, empty, no jobs, and now it's thriving. Just remember, Kamala's not attacking me. She's attacking your furniture job. She's attacking your communities. She's attacking your factories. And she's trying to send all of those jobs to China with everything else. And we're not going to let that happen.
Kamala Harris is still pushing globalization after it gutted our jobs and factories. So what is exactly the vice president's economic agenda? Massive welfare checks to buy starter homes? It's only going to trigger more inflation and drive home prices higher. She wants to build more homes, but she spent $7 trillion and she only was able to build 7 car chargers.
Facts.
I'm going to go with the guy who builds for a living. She wants to tax unrealized gains. That idea was laughed out of the room. She wants price controls, again, laughed out of the room. The rest is your typical tax and spend, San Francisco socialist garbage that doesn't work, never has. After 5 days off, Kamala delivered, as they build it, a big economic speech today. And primetime producers watched it, so I didn't have to. And they told me she didn't say anything. She didn't say anything new, nothing, no new policy, nothing. And the New York Times agreed with Jesse Watters' primetime, saying she revealed little new about her economic pitch. She just came.
Isn't it wonderful how, when, mainstream media and the news actually tells the truth? Isn't it amazing? Because when they actually tell the truth, you get comments like we heard earlier on MSNBC, when she just called Kamala out on not answering the question. And then you get stuff like this. When they actually tell the truth, It's amazing how it works. It really is.
With the same empty slogans.
I call my vision
The opportunity economy.
What I imagine and believe and call an opportunity economy.
Developing and creating an opportunity economy. I intend to create an opportunity economy.
Why do we need an opportunity economy if Bidenomics is working? Shouldn't we already have opportunity? Shouldn't she just be running on let's keep going? Well, she is, but she can't say that because everybody knows where we're going is in the wrong direction. Kamala isn't saying how she's going to help. She's just saying she grew up just like you.
I grew up in a middle-class family.
I grew up a middle-class kid.
I grew up a middle-class kid. I was raised as a middle-class kid.
But how middle class is she? Kamala was raised in Berkeley, California, by parents with PhDs. One of the nicer neighborhoods in San Francisco. She spent her weekends in Palo Alto, went to private schools, lived in a nice little neighborhood in Montreal, took trips to Jamaica, and then once claimed she worked at McDonald's without any evidence.
We don't want to hear Kamala's fake promises, even something like she worked very long and hard hours over French fries at McDonald's. It was a lie. She never worked at McDonald's over the hot French fries. I think I'm going to a McDonald's in 2 weeks, actually, and I'm going to work the French fries because I will have worked longer and harder at McDonald's than she did if I do that even for half an hour.
Even people working at McDonald's were better off under Donald Trump than Biden-Harris. Americans got a $7,000 raise under Trump and haven't gotten a raise since. But the Biden-Harris people are saying Americans just have a bad memory.
Americans, when you ask the question, are you better off today than you were 4 years ago, many Americans misremember just how bad the economy was 4 years ago and how strong our economic recovery from the pandemic has been.
You know, we're being sick of being told that we don't realize how good we have it. Our memories are shot, crime's down, borders secure. We're sick of it. It's actually making traditional Democrats consider the unthinkable.
Shante Volano-Willis isn't sold. Isn't sure the vice president is up to the top job.
I've been a Democrat my entire adult life. This has actually been the first year where I was considering voting Republican.
Her mother isn't happy.
Never thought she'd see a black person president in her life. She did. Now, Kamala Harris is for president. My mother says she don't care what she does, let's just get her in there. And I simply don't feel the same.
Kamala's only pretending to fight for you because she knows she's losing you. If she cared, she would have done all the things she's promising to do.
Kamala goes to work every day in the White House. Families are suffering now. So if she has a plan, she should stop grandstanding and do it. Just do it. You have a few months left. Do it.
Click here to subscribe to.
You know, honestly, I do feel like there's a lot of old black folks that feel the same way as that woman's mother, right? That don't care what Kamala has to say, but they see her as a black woman, so they're going to vote for her anyway. Now, those are older folks, right? People over 50. And I actually think there was like a poll that, there was two polls that showed that there was a gap, there was a separation between black people over 50 and black people under 50. Black people under 50 were a lot more likely to support a Republican in Donald Trump. Black people over 50 were just like stuck in a rut and they were voting Democrat no matter what, you know. And it is sad to see, right? But some folks will just be on the plantation until, you know, God calls them home. And that's just the way it is. That is the thing. That is the conclusion that I have come to. There are some folks who are just going to be there. Now, there's a lot more folks who are like me, right? Who just need that nudge, who just need that light bulb moment, the light bulb to click on. And then it's like, oh, I was blind, but now I see, you know? So, yeah, but anyway, shout out to Jesse Waters, man. Absolutely great show that was put together there. And that's why I wanted to do a reaction to it, because it was absolutely well done and on point. From top to bottom. Kamala is an absolute joke, doesn't answer any questions, and just rambles on about goodness gracious, now I'm talking like Joe Biden and Kamala, and just rambles on about a bunch of nothing. Just rambling, just, oh yeah, we got to talk about the good in America, and people just want to see good in America, and like the sunshine is shining, and that's good, and people want to see good in America, and that's what I want to bring is good to them. Like, it's just a bunch of nothing. A bunch of sweet nothings. It's honestly incredible how some people will actually vote for this woman. But hey, I hope she continues to do interviews because she's going to bomb every single one of them. I'm convinced of that at this point. I wasn't at first, not completely. I was like, maybe if somebody threw her a soft enough interview and kind of just held her hand a little bit more. I mean, this is MSNBC, and she was doing an interview with a lady that said she didn't have to answer questions. So I was like, maybe she'll pull this one out. But no, couldn't do it. Which also, and I'm going to leave y'all with this, the fact that she continues to bomb interviews and they keep putting her in interviews, keep, allowing her to do interviews, says everything you need to know about her campaign and where it's actually at and what those internal numbers are really saying. They're getting desperate, which is why they're pushing her out there. Even though they know she's probably going to bomb every single interview, they're just hoping that it turns things around. And I think I don't think it's going to. I think it's actually going to send things in the opposite direction. But what do you say? Let me know. Stay safe out there. Thanks for tuning in. Peace and love. I'm out.